I have the good fortune to be joined this morning by Peter Choddy, one of my mates, and we're often talking about copyright and changes in the marketplace. And this week, he wrote a great piece about the partnership between Disney and OpenAI. And I'm a massive fan of following what's happening with licensing, especially with AI licensing. This
Yeah.
felt like a moment to figure out what's going on. So break it down for us, bud.
Yeah, no, listen, Ricky, it's great to see you. So it was pretty shocking news yesterday, and I follow the space very closely. And for all of media and entertainment in Hollywood, all of a sudden we wake up to the story that Disney, the single most protective media company when it comes to its intellectual property, to its Disney characters, Star Wars, Marvel comics, all of that they invested $1 billion into OpenAI, which is pretty shocking in and of itself. But and obviously the terms are a little bit loosey goosey of what exactly that means, and I have some ideas about that. But the part that was most intriguing to me, other than the fact that here you have the major Hollywood studio, traditional studio, that's investing in what many in media and entertainment believe is the Antichrist, which is generative AI companies like Sam Altman and OpenAI, is the fact that as part of the deal, over 200 Disney characters and the Marvel universe, all that, are going to be made available in Sora. Sora is the video generative product that they have, so that consumers, like all of us, kids, anybody, can actually create their own videos using Darth Vader or Woody from Toy Story and inject and put themselves into those videos with beloved Disney characters. And then, of course, that means that we can all use them for TikTok or wherever we want to put them in social media or any place else. So this is a watershed moment when it comes to media companies and the big AI developers.
Yeah, it was a jaw drop, right?
Yeah.
Because pretty much up to now, every single narrative has been, yeah, these guys are kind of making hay in the AI world, but when they come up against Disney, it's going to be boom, like, look out, here we go. And it
Yeah.
wasn't that at all, was it? It was basically, so the piece I was fascinated about was Disney's decision to invest. So it kind of says, all right, it sounds like we're going to put a foot experimentally into this place and
Yeah.
see whether we can ride this AI rocket ship. Because if this is coming and it's now an inevitability, then maybe we need to, rather than fight them, maybe we need to join them. Was that your take?
Yeah, I mean, no question. Listen, from the very beginning, when ChatGPT was launched 3 years ago, I knew in my bones, and being in the belly of the beast here in the media world of Hollywood, that it's here to stay. You're not going to be able to wish it away, but it's going to transform Hollywood 100%. So what do you do about that? You better get ahead of it and experiment with it and do that, but it has to be done right. And my big thing, Ricky, and this, is that doing it right means that AI developers can't just steal your stuff. It can't steal your content and use it for training purposes and for outputs and all that sort of thing. As long as there's proper IP licensing in place. So licensing where the creators, the creative community like Disney here, gets compensation every time their characters are used. Then it makes a lot of sense to me, for sure. And I'll talk about that a little bit. But when people hear that Disney's investing $1 billion. And I've been involved in a lot of these deals where I've licensed content from the studios or for music labels in deals when I ran companies. And although it says like $1 billion, my guess is that that's a investment in equity, largely going to be not cash, but actually like an equitable play of some kind. There's equity involved rather than it's being a cash deal.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't you? I mean, if you look at the market cap, I follow the market caps of these companies.
Yeah.
It's a $750 billion company, OpenAI, and it was less than considerably less than half that a year ago. And
Yeah.
so you do want to make sure that your company is aligned with the growth market. But it was also interesting that they've licensed the likelihoods of their, or the effectively the IP of their most famous characters, so
Yeah.
Star Wars and everybody else, to be used for generative AI. This was
Yeah.
where you expected the court cases to happen. So they must see a commercial model here for
Oh, no, for
licensing
sure.
those, and for lots of different, in the same way as maybe Lego licensed its characters to make movies. Is that kind of what we're talking about?
No, absolutely. Like, so, okay. So I'll take you back in time a few years. If you all remember the movie Frozen, which became the biggest animated hit in Disney history, that was the first time, and what made it successful was that was the first time that the Disney lawyers laid off when people were using Frozen songs in their social media. So there was a whole thing at the time where everybody was, young people, kids were creating all these videos and they were singing the songs from Frozen. And it was the first time that Disney kind of said, yeah, go ahead, play with our stuff and you don't have to license it. And lo and behold, Frozen became the most successful animated film in all time. And so what it showed Disney is that if you put their IP, their characters in the hands of consumers and let them play with it, that's the best marketing that's out there for them. So it's great marketing, but also the way this is going to play out is that Disney will get paid every time that one of us takes a character in Sora and creates a video with it. My guess is that there will be like a micro licensing fee where there's going to be a menu of choices when I'm in Sora and I'm going to say, okay, I want to use Darth Vader. I'll pay 50 cents right now. And that 50 cents will go to Disney. And I think that's the way that this is all going to play out. And I love that kind of model. And it's something that I've, talked about for a couple of years now, which is as hard as I am on, how AIs can impact and transform media and entertainment, meaning that there's a lot of things that are being done wrong, a lot of things by OpenAI and all the others. One of the great unlocks I see is an entirely new scalable revenue stream where those who have valuable characters, and it doesn't have to be just Disney, that have fandom. So like if you have some book or whatever, music that has fans to it. So you have a lot of people who are really interested in that. And if you give your fans the ability to play with that stuff, that's invaluable and they will pay to be able to play with it. And then they'll distribute it across their social media platforms. And that's amazing marketing for you. So I think that's a great unlock that this is going to be kind of the first of many to come big licensing deals like this, big strategic partnerships.
Mate,
Yeah.
what does this mean for copyright? So if you're a copyright lawyer, you're already kind of in the ring with Mike Tyson trying to work out how copyright fits. And now you've got companies that would traditionally be expected to have a much tougher position on this now saying, yeah, let's play. Does this assist and support and back copyright because it's commercial? Or does it actually kick another piece of the foundation away from copyright in your
No. This is entirely consistent. This is what copyright's for. It's that this is a licensing deal. So this is upholding, the integrity of the artist's rights or the creator's rights. In this case, Disney's characters. They're entering into a cooperative licensing deal with OpenAI. That's all great. That's consistent with copyright. It's when OpenAI takes all this content and stuff that's out there without getting any consent and giving any compensation. And that's what's been done by virtually all of the generative AI companies out there. And that's why in the United States alone, there's like 75 litigations, copyright infringement litigations going on right now. And Disney entered into this deal, but just like a few days ago, filed a lawsuit against Google for using its characters in Google's training of its AI. So like, this is what you see, but there's going to be, with this Disney deal, there's going to be more of these kinds of deals. You and I, Ricky, have talked about this before, that I see the fair use, which is here in the United States, that's the defense that the AI developers use for taking content without consent and compensation. The dominoes are falling in court about fair use as a defense. And so there's more and more settlements that are happening now too in the AI media space. So like we saw the $1.5 billion settlement between Anthropic and these publishers, they're these book authors, $1.5 billion copyright settlement, largest in history. And then Suno and Udio, which are, the two biggest music generative companies here in the United States. And they were sued by all the major labels. Both of them just settled their lawsuits with Warner Music Group just in the last few weeks. So the court cases are falling a certain way, Ricky, because of the sanctity of copyright, upholding copyright. That leads to, so the dominoes are falling there. that means that you're getting more and more settlements that are happening in that world where the AI developers are, rather than litigate, they realize the writing's on the wall. So they're going to cooperate. And that leads to what we're seeing with OpenAI and Disney.
That's massive. That's absolutely massive because in my industry, the one that I care about and I'm trying to
Yeah.
protect in publishing, we've got a situation where content's been taken under that fair use doctrine that you're describing, and there's really been no defense, and it's been court case after court case after court case, as you point out.
Right.
But now we've suddenly seen a marketplace emerge. So Microsoft's launched a marketplace. Cloudflare is talking about having a marketplace. Meta has started paying publishers again. It's as if the coin has dropped somewhere in this mix that says, actually, now it's time to start trading because we've done the tests and we've got some critical mass and we have an understanding of what the value of this might be. And now we're starting to move forward. So, do you think that's the right read here? Is this a transition point? Is this a starting gun on AI licensing at scale?
Uh, it is, but we've seen this movie before too. So like this is the recipe of Silicon Valley. This is what they've done is that you move fast, break things. That's the mantra, the famous mantra in Silicon Valley, where you move so fast, you build the value. You already get the consumers, everybody locked into using these tools and then go and do it the old fashioned way by just plowing ahead and not getting the cooperation of the creative community. And then you're sued at massive scale and then you cooperate. And yes, then the economic terms are starting to be established in the business. We've seen this movie before. I've been around the block a long time. Same thing happened when streaming came out. If you remember, when YouTube first broke, YouTube was built on the backs of the creative community by allowing everybody to upload videos of Saturday Night Live and all the big shows without getting any consent or or paying anything to the shows themselves. And it was only after YouTube got huge, sold itself for $1.6 billion back at the day, which was a penny at the time, but nonetheless, 1.6 billion. It was only after they were sued by one of the major media companies. That's when YouTube created this system called Content ID, which pays every, participating content owner certain amount of pennies every time their content is used, if they allow it to be used. So the point is that it's the same thing. You build something, you put it out there, you damn the torpedoes, then the media companies are, shaken like, what the F do we do?
Yep.
And so then they litigate. That forces movement toward creating economics that are falling into place right now.
Amazing. And so here we are, right? We're about to go into Christmas. We have a marketplace starting to emerge. The other note that you raised at the beginning and that I noted too is that I've been involved in lots of global licensing deals. I know you have as well. When we've done those deals, it's typically been a transaction, content for money. What I was fascinated by Disney was that it made an investment. So it actually effectively strapped itself to the AI rocket ship and said, if this is going to the moon with our content, we want a part of that growth. We don't want to be renegotiating deals every year, which we will. We want to own a bit of the prize. We want to own a bit of the AI. I think that's extremely smart. And I've been encouraging lots of publishers to take the same approach. Take the cash that you've got and make sure that you're hitched to the winners here.
Well, and again, what I was saying before is I doubt that it's all cash. I doubt that. I believe that when we talk about the investment of $1 billion, it's $1 billion of value. And because I'll give you another example. When I ran a company and what brought me down to San Diego is because I was running a company, I was president of a company called Music Match, which was on the bleeding edge of music streaming at the time when nobody was doing on-demand streaming. So we were inventing it. So we had to negotiate with the major labels, the music labels, and we were making it up. You can imagine as part of those licensing deals where we were allowed to use their music, we had to give them equity in our company. That was the deal. We had to give them equity. So I'm sure the same thing that Disney is saying, okay, yes, you can use our characters, but we get like $500 million of the $1 billion is in value of equity in OpenAI or something like that. It's going to be something like that.
Mate, I'd take that deal. Would you?
Well, I think it's a smart deal. I think it's a smart deal. And this is one that I can stand behind, like I said, because the creative community benefits from it. Now, the individual animators don't feel they are because they don't feel like they're going to get any pennies out of it. But I'm talking about like the copyright holders, at least, at a macro scale, are being respected and will get compensation on an ongoing basis for use of the characters.
Here's a top tip. Why don't we keep an eye on it? See what happens.
Sounds good.
See
Yeah,
what happens next.
I think on Monday it will change.
Mate, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I will put a link to your article on this report. Thanks ever so much, guys. See you later.
Good to see you. Good to see you,
Cheers,
Ricky.
buddy. See you, mate. Bye bye.
Happy Christmas. See ya.
Oh, and you.
See ya.
Bye.